The physiological limitations are, of course, the biggest topics of rowing, but of course there are mental limitations, material limitation, and technical limitations that I want to go a little bit around us, of course, also. But the physiological limitation is of course I think the greatest topic and the most important for maybe this today. But the others, I want to present what feels, what is the focus of an elite athlete, and is quite bigger challenge is also the three other factors. Rowing is 6 minutes competition, almost. It depends on what boat type you row. In a Coxless 4, as I've been rowing, it's almost about 6 minutes, plus minus 15 seconds. And the thing about rowing is that you see a very good correlation between the maximal oxygen uptake and the performance. This is the average oxygen uptake of teams rowing at European Championships. And the thing is that normally we measure in oxygen uptake compared to the weight, but the weight is not that important in rowing as we see in, for example, running or cycling uphill. But what is interesting, and what we of course shall talk a little bit about, is how this team with a lower oxygen uptake, of course, can beat a physiological stronger team. Oxygen demand, they tried to measure it early back in early times, and we see that the intensity of rowing is greater than the intensity that limits maximal VO2, and of course it's very difficult to measure this calculated oxygen demand of rowing, because we don't know exactly how to do it, but they estimated it once to be from this curve, and we think that the intensity of a rowing competition is about 120% of that equals maximal oxygen uptake. So that means that also that yes, that the anaerobic component is quite big from of course a big part also from rowing, and especially the first minute of rowing. And of course, training for rowing is very much aerobic training. I mean, this is of course the greatest part of it, and training is of course what I want to talk a little bit about. And this is a typical training program. This is from 2004, in March month of before the Olympics, which means this is before the competition period, but still in this period of training we had a lot of high intensity, well, not much training above VO2 max, but a lot of training from 70% up till 90 and even 100%. I was asked this question, so that we have discussed a lot today. So are you into volume or are you into high intensity? And I think I'm into both, training high intensity for a long time. So and that's also what I think is the issue of performing. That is training hard, and that is, you know, the combination of volume and intensity, which means that you should multiply those things. I'll come back to that because I just want to present this a little bit for you. And a normal training for rowing is about from 1 hour to 1 hour, 1 hour and 3/4. So we never do, in Denmark anyway, we never do sessions of 2 hours or more than that, never. The plan is not to do more than 2 trainings a day. We know that a lot of our competitors train 3 times a day, a lot of days and a lot of hours. But our focus has been very much to this high intensity of training, which means that we have of course sessions that we call pretty low intensity. Actually, I feel that when we are rowing, we have sessions that are that low intensity that we think it's a waste of time. But when we get to, for example, World Championships or the Olympics, and we make training sessions between competitions, we train together with all the other teams. And we could look at, for example, the Italians, which are known to train really, really high volume. And we would look at them, and they would row, even when we are at our lowest speed, that we think we cannot row any slower than this, we would still pass them very fast, and the boat would go like this, and I was just thinking, yes, if this is the case of doing very high volume of training, we could easily do that. But when we are doing a training program like this, we are tired. We're very tired, and the limitations of the training is that we are simply the time of being fresh enough for the next training. The restitution is the limitations for training hard enough. This is an example of training before the competition, and we have a little bit of very high intensity training. And this is 3 weeks before the World Championships. Actually, this was 3 weeks before the Olympic Games in 2004. And what you see is that we can compare to this, that we have shorter sessions, not as many kilometers. The one before was 200 kilometers. We go from about 15 hours to about 12 hours, and a little bit less of sessions, 11 sessions a week. And but then also we have a lot of sessions with very high intensity of training. Also, we have increasing the times of start training, and I would call this strength training, because we do it with maximal effort, powering as hard as we could do. And actually, we don't do much strength training during season. We do a little bit, but it's not very structured, and it's very little. Also, you can say that every time we start a session, every time we start an interval, that's almost strength training, because we start all out. And that's I'll come back to that also, because that's one of the things that I think is very characteristic for rowers. That is that we start with an initial spurt, but we'll come back to that. Before I go to this, the technical limitations, I've been inspired by the sessions we have had today, and I want to show a little bit from my personal training log, and that's from the heart rate measurements, and we'll see whether this comes. We have the training time. Compared to different intensities, that's not very obvious, but the time of training is very different from week to week, even though we try to be at a certain level. It's very difficult to see this, but it varies from maybe 16, 17 hours. This is before the World Championships in 2007. And this is after the World Championships, we don't have any weeks of non-training, but we have weeks of training a little bit less. And then before the Olympic Games, the Olympic Games is about here, where you can see that the week of the Olympic Games, the week of competition, is very low volume, and the week before is even lower. And then taking the month earlier, that's actually the place where we train the most. But the thing is that we don't really use the time of training as the most important factor. We have this calculation from our pulse, which means that we give points for a certain intensity, which means that 60% of maximal heart rate gives about 1 point for every minute of training, whereas about 95% of maximal heart rate will give us about 6 points for every minute of training. And that's a calculation of how hard we train. And that's the thing I look at when I want to look at how hard has my training been. So it's a graduated weight of intensity and volume that makes us. And during the years, I've been doing this for many years, and I see a very good relationship between performance and these points, which means that you would see the results of the training not within the weeks you train very hard, but after 2 or 3 weeks training less, as we also talked about the tapering. You should, of course, ask a lot of questions about training, but I want to tell you a little bit about other limitations in rowing, because what you see is that we have to work together. So even though we can pull a lot of power in a rowing machine, it's not certain that we can do it during rowing. So what we have here is you can have a very high capacity during a rowing machine, but if you cannot row your own rowing style or your own rhythm, it can be very hard to make the same power output in a boat. But the thing about rowing is that we cannot measure how much power output you actually put in the boat, and that would be a good thing to do in the future. So and also one thing is how good the power you put into the boat, how efficient are you, how good are you to catch the water and to feel the rhythm, and especially how good are you to use your power to make the boat actually move. So this is of course things that fills our head a lot when we train on the water. Also, I have this thing about steering, because the boat is actually steered by a rudder, and if you have 2 persons rowing the same side that are very strong, you would have a boat that goes one way, but the rudder you would steer the boat, so the boat keeps on going straight, but the rudder will make a lot of resistance. So what we should know about rowing a boat like this is that the boat would not move faster than the weakest part pulls in the oar. So we are very, we are very dependent on each other on this thing. I wanted to show a little bit about this teamwork and also about this initial sport that we're doing, because we have to agree on how to go out with how to use our power and how to go into a race. And this is this is two different sessions of trials for 6 minutes trials, where the persons were told to start off very hard, and in another session they were shown to just to start up at the average power to see whether they could do better. And what we must that the biomechanics will tell us that if you start up at the average speed that you are able to keep the whole way, you would use less energy because of the resistance of the water is exponential increasing. So, but the thing is that if you start up very, very fast, you would have a higher oxygen uptake, a liters more over the 6 minutes. I want to show you a little bit from the race, because there's also, I think this should be a little bit away from a little bit of show also. What we see here is that we are very focused on the beginning of a race like this. So as I told you, we start up with an initial spurt. Our stroke rate is about 52 in the beginning, and then going down to this about 40 strokes per minute, which is very high. And we have to agree on this before we go out to the race, that we go out together and give this full power from the beginning. If there's just one man saying, I'm not doing all out, the other three cannot do it and are not able to do it either. No, the thing about a race like this is that you are so focused on doing your own. And I think it's quite funny, because as the tactics in rowing is actually moving as fast as possible from A to B, and you shouldn't be aware of the other boats. But anyway, seeing the other boats, being in front of them, makes a difference. We have to, as a physiologist, it can be hard to, seeing this and agree with that, because it makes you calm, it makes you more efficient to sit up front and look at the other boats. I think it makes a little bit the rhythm more calm, and it makes our team more efficient than if you have to do like this every time you have to look at your competitors. But as our coach told us just before we had to go out for this race, he was telling us, you concentrate only on your own boat and go out for a quick start. And you're only allowed to see this race live if you're up in front. We were focusing on that. But also, of course, when during training, we would be inhibited by the pain of the training, the pain of exceeding our limits. But in a race like this, it's not pain that we feel. It's signals telling us that we have to slow down, or we can give it a little bit more. And I think we are so concentrated that we are rowing just our own race and are not thinking a lot about the others' races. I just want to see the last of the race, because also a thing about this is that when you're up front with a length like this, we actually didn't go all out. We were able to, because the risk of going totally berserk, actually in a weather with waves and so on, the risk of getting a bad stroke is very big when you're totally all out in the end and you're very sore. And so the focus was just to keep the rhythm and don't do anything hesitated in the end. So, and when we are training, I think at this level, you will see that half a second or maybe 1 second slower than your absolutely maximal effort would mean that we almost don't feel the fatigue at the end or afterwards as we would have done if it would have been very tight. And you can also see a very few seconds we would be able to stand up in the boat, and but the thing is, we can do that right at this second, but a few seconds later, 10 seconds, 30 seconds, we wouldn't have been able to do it. I also had this a little bit about material limitations, because this of course can mean a lot of difference on the performance, but maybe it's not today we should talk a lot about this, but of course the stiffness of the boat, the water resistance and the wind resistance means something, but the topic about the weight may be something that is relevant for today. And we are actually lightweight rowers, which means that we have to go under average weight of 70 kilos before a race, and performing as a good lightweight rower, you have to have as high a muscle mass as possible. You have to be the bigger person you are, the bigger talent you actually are for rowing. So the best lightweight rowers are the biggest persons that could go to this average of 70 kilos, which means that we have to reduce, of course, the fat percent, but we can also do this whole process about dehydrating and rehydrating before a race, and that's a whole topic in itself. But you should the short story is that we are almost, when you measure our fat-free mass, it's very close to the actual weight that we weigh in at 2 hours before a competition. Yes? Future aspects. I've heard a lot today, and when I was talking to Jens before this some month ago, asking me to do this presentation, I was asking him whether he wanted to hear the facet of training and how to do, and I told him I would come and tell him that. That's of course a big joke, because if you think you have the exact facet, I think it would be very hard to develop and being better. I think the big case about this is to always seek a way to get better and new things to improve your performance, and try out new things, and to see whether this can make a difference. And I also think we heard some things today.